Welcome to the Heart to Heart podcast. My name is Carlos Joseph Cabello, and I'll be your host. Today I have my brother, Guest Papa. Tell the people who you are, bro.
Hi guys, welcome again to another episode. My name is Cosmo Johnson, and nice to be here again.
Thank you, bro. In our midst, we have a great man. He goes by the name Pastor Mwale. But today, I'd like to bring him up as a leader in this place and a father to us. Welcome, Pastor Mwale.
Thank you so much. Good to see you.
Thank you. So we want to talk on the conversation, leadership and youth empowerment at large. I don't think we'll touch on everything, but I hope with a few parts we'll reach a great impact and clarity on certain things you might understand. So I'd love to know firstly on how the leadership side of things began in your life. I feel like, was it your choice? You know, there are some people who life decided for them to be leaders. For example, the father passed away and the mother, and they were the first one, and they were forced to step into that leadership role. So how was it for you?
I'm grateful to be a leader. Well, at the beginning of my life, I was not the first one, anything like that. But I would say that it began off when I began to be introduced to institutions like school. I was class monitor, prefect. Those small roles kind of shaped me to be able to communicate with groups of people and things like that. And then it was that institution of school going upwards that then became my foundation for leadership. That's not how I would consider my genesis of leadership. And then, of course, the evolution came when you became in high school. It's another level. Then proceeded to grow into the institution of church, which I was introduced to much later on in life. But the foundation was the prefectorial class monitor position.
And how has it been for you? Are there any challenges you faced in the beginning years, especially those that people don't see in the public eye? But like there's certain leadership challenges you face. Like, for example, my father is a pastor, and because he leads, let's say, a church, there are certain challenges he goes through that people don't get to see. And only people in the internal area get to see that. So what are the challenges beginning and going through to where you are? What are some challenges you pick up?
I think the greatest challenge that you face as a leader personally is number one, personal assessment. Because you assess yourself not based on your performance, but you assess yourself based on the output of the people that you are leading. So when you then look at their lives and the people that are looking up to you or are hearing what you are saying or following your leadership, then you look at them. When you look at them and probably you don't see the things that you think must be there. So self-assessment, that is the biggest, heaviest struggle that you face, because now you are thinking, am I doing enough? Am I not doing enough? So you have this stress that you are carrying every day, and then when you hear someone's failure, it becomes your failure, because you are assuming that maybe it is my lack of leadership or my inadequate leadership that has drawn them to that particular failure. So assessment. And then you hear everybody's problem. You hear everybody's circumstance and burden, but at the same time, you don't have anybody. Because remember, if you are a leader now, you are surrounded by people that you are leading. So you cannot necessarily go back down to them to offload your burden. So you carry their burden, your burden, and you have no way to unburden yourself. So that becomes a very big challenge in leadership.
How do you deal with it? Because by then I'm sure you're not leading, but you're still in leadership. How do you deal with carrying the burden of people that still getting to offload it somewhere else? Or do you remain with the burden of whatever you can?
I think before we introduce the aspect that the grace of God is sufficient, prayer and things like that, I would say that I developed. In the first instance, it was a negative thing that developed. When I was going to deal with that, I became quiet. I became very reserved. So I would be very effective when I was with people, and when I was alone, I just went quiet, which was a very negative thing. because I was internalizing and implosion was obviously going to come. So then what I did is that I developed habits that would maybe help me to cater. I made sure that I had time to feed myself with things that motivate me, books, the Bible, prayer, things like that. They become a place of catharsis for me. So I would maybe not necessarily have found someone. It took me quite some time to find someone that I could trust enough to upload to. Because when you're a leader, you naturally you become very cautious about who you speak to. So it took me a lot of time, but before I found the person, I found habits of catharsis, what I would call it. Habits of catharsis. I got into writing, I got into arts, and I changed.
What kind of writing?
Imaginative writing. I started doing short stories, I wrote books, and then I went into sort of documentary writing, poetry, just expressive. So it became a catharsis for me. So when I'm wound up, when I did those activities and things like that, I'll find myself in a place where I'm refreshed and ready to proceed. Until then, I decided with advice that I needed to find an actual human being.
So it's a need.
Yeah.
Because I was about to even ask you, so it's possible for a man to, let's say, you're saying now you could do art. So I thought it's possible for you to now do it problem without, let's say, reaching a person. So now you're saying you needed a human being. Do you mean everyone now needs a human being you can afford to, you can survive on your own with your passions and craft?
Now, after all that I've experienced, definitely every person is a human being. You cannot fully exist without that. That person might not necessarily be an advisor. The first person that I spoke to was not an advisor. He was someone that I trusted. And I would go to him, pour out. He might not necessarily advise me what to do on the subject that I told him. But after conversing with him, and I would feel relieved. And then obviously there will be different advisor and things like that. But you cannot survive. You cannot survive on these. These are like remedies, like painkillers. These arts and other things that we do, habits, sports and other things that we do, recreational things that we do. They are temporary. But definitely every person with a human being that has emotions, can respond emotionally to what they're saying, and can cry.
Yeah.
And then when you finish your 30, 40 minutes with them, you are in a different place and you're ready to go on. So yes.
As you say, is most of the time we see people who find it difficult for them to pour out. What do you think causes that? Like, especially for men, you hardly see men pouring out themselves until they find that one person, and it takes a long time. What causes that delay?
Before you answer, does it mean a man who does that is not kind?
Well, I'll start off by saying, you see, the way that leadership and manhood configure you is such that you are a problem solver. So every problem solver that now needs to go ahead and have their problem solved naturally feels like they have failed somewhere. So I think it is the configuration of leadership and manhood that then makes you develop that mindset of saying, if I then go to someone else and I'm exposing myself, I'm a problem solver. I don't matter in this equation. It's a subconscious decision that you make. So now, when you begin to applaud and you're a man, it is the ego that feels as if it is reducing itself to the level of the individual that you're holding out to. You see now? So that ego now, if it is not under control, it begins to tell you that you do not need to do this, you can't do this, or you're okay on your own. And to answer your question directly, no. If a man begins to pour out, in fact, he becomes more of a man. Leadership is about being able to manage yourself more than manage others. If a leader can manage others and not manage himself, he's failed in leadership. We have biblical examples like men like Solomon, great men celebrated all over for his wisdom, but could not manage his own household. How did he perish? He was worshiping other gods. So everyone was saluting him, but he could not manage what was inside. So when a leader or a man fails to manage himself, no matter how successful he is on the outside, is an ultimate failure. So you don't become feminine by being able to pour out, but rather you master yourself. You are showing that you've mastered yourself. Your ego is under your control. And now that makes you more effective as a leader because, you can now relate to the people that you are speaking to, not above them, but you can put them somewhere because you have mastered yourself.
That's been 10 days.
Now into the people who are aspiring leaders. What are some key or necessities of building or making one a great leader? You touched on the one of balancing, but also when you talk on it, I want you to answer a question a friend says, I'm young, but I aspire to be in leadership, but now it's difficult to try lead as a young person. So also try give your perspective on young leadership, on how also they can become great leaders.
That's interesting. It reminds me of there's a book that I read on leadership written by Apostle Hillary. It says that leaders are not born, but leaders are made. So you're not born a leader. If you're born a leader, it's going to be a problem because it's natural construction. But leaders are made. So one thing that there is to become a foundation in you becoming a leader is that you have to submit yourself to the process of construction. And the process of construction, number one, starts with accepting accountability, learning accountability. And learning accountability means that you are open to criticism, even things that you think are correct. One of the greatest failures of leadership or becoming a leader is not wanting to be accountable, not wanting to explain your actions. Every leader feels that my word is final. I'm the leader here, 10 left. If someone comes and says, why should we 10 left and not right? They don't see it as if it's a question, they see it as a challenge to the authority. So accountability is primary in becoming a leader. You have to learn it in simpler things in life. You have to learn it in every day. Where were you? Where are you coming from? Why are you coming late? Every leader must accept accountability. Where there's no accountability, there's no leadership. Because how do you develop without accountability? How do you assess without accountability? And responsibility becomes a second measure too, because you have to know, what am I supposed to do? A leader must be someone that clearly can define their goal, can define their destination. So if you don't have clarity or vision of what you want to achieve, you cannot be a leader. Because people want you to understand, people want to understand from you, where are we going? Where are you taking us? What do you want? After 3 years, after 6 months, what do you want? So if you don't have a clear understanding of your responsibility, then you have a big problem. And obviously the last one becomes character. Every leader must be charismatic. You cannot be an uncharismatic leader. Charisma is built by different things. Other people use religion, other people use studying, but there must be charisma because, we have men that have led that were unlikely leaders. Men like, on the negative side, men like Hitler. Hitler was a great leader. Yeah, he was a great leader. He managed to make Germany into an industrial giant. It was big. It was big. But he had a clear thing that he wanted to do. He occupied almost the rest of Europe. People were watching him when it was going. German Empire was growing. So as a leader, you need to have charisma. When you speak, people must be able to listen to you. Not because of your position, but because of who you are. You must be magnetic. You cannot be a leader who is not magnetic. There has to be, you don't need to know everything, but you need to be able to appeal when you are speaking so that people can listen to you. And when we say we might die, they will say, you know what, if we're going to die with you, then we are willing to die. You see, so leadership has got to have accountability, understanding of responsibility, clarity of what you want to do and your purpose, and there has to be character, there has to be charisma, there has to be honesty. You must be a man or a leader, must be an individual who is morally upright. Their moral compass must be very functional, so that when you say this and that, you do it, and when you fail, people may understand this was an error. So these are, maybe what I would say, these are primary. And as a young person now, in this generation, the trap is that some of these things have now been considered as if they are inhuman, they are a violation of personal space. For For instance, if you question someone, why are you doing it? Where were you? They feel like you were violating me in one way or the other. So as a young person, you have to now go and say, I want to ignore the things of our generation, the thoughts of our times. Because leadership is timeless. Leadership, what made leaders successful in 1800 is still the same thing that makes leaders successful now. You understand? It doesn't change. So if you try to be a leader of this generation before you just become a leader, you are going to fail. You'll be a puppet leader because you'll be trying to impress people with what they already know. A leader must exist in a realm that the people he or she is leading are not. So he has to be above. So that's all development of character that makes you who you are. A leader must always have someone that they admire. They have someone that they yearn to be like. You understand? It provides character. For me, it's clear. It's my father, the Apostle Ziggy, and Apostle Paul.
And what stood out for you?
The men led millions of people, but it was the simplicity that there is something that is unique when somebody has depth and simplicity combined together. What other people don't call humility. And that for me, that was that. And the fact that the men could orchestrate an organization in places where he has not set foot and he does not go for a year, but the uniformity of function. I'm like, this is amazing. We have the uniformity in place to place. Imagine, the headquarters is in one country and it's in 160 places, but there is uniformity in function. That shows serious leadership. That shows that there is system. Someone once said leadership is not an individual, but leadership is the ability to create a functional system. So in him, I saw that ability to create a system that works anywhere that you go. Windows is the same. Whatever is the same. So that ability to have that depth and simplicity, to be able to have uniformity across zones, time zones, across boundaries, international boundaries, to me, that was outstanding.
I'm seeing the harmony.
I'm trying.
So as you were talking, I picked up something. So would you say, okay, at times I read a question here. It says, why do people not want to step up when others see leadership in them? Like for instance, I can see that Rahiso is a person who has leadership in him, and when I tell him that, Fred, you need to do stuff like this, no, I don't want to. There's that resentment of I don't want to put myself out there. Is it like they fear failure, or they feel like, or how has that been for you in such cases whereby people see that leadership in you and they tell you, but you don't want to do it because of maybe some fears?
Well, socialization plays a very huge role in that. Because you see, the way that we've been socialized is that becoming a leader means that you are saying about yourself, you are us. So national leaders are now being associated with pride. I step up and say, I want to be a leader. This is pride. So that kind of defeats people. That's the first thing that defeats people. Socialization, I'm against wanting to step out, to be different, I'm against wanting to lead. It is perceived as if it's pride, which it is not. You understand? And then secondly, you find that leadership is almost revelatory in a way. Unless you believe that you can be a leader, you are going to die. Not being a leader, yet maybe there is leadership in you. There's a danger in following what people can see that you cannot see. You see, it's very, very dangerous. You understand what I'm saying? I remember when we were studying European history and we were arguing, saying that leaders are created out of crisis. So sometimes when you have not entered into a place of crisis where there's a demand for you to step up, you might never step up. You find that great men emerge during times of crisis. Many times, more than less. So I believe sometimes the situation is not demanding you to stretch yourself, so you don't. But many people don't believe that they can swim until you place them in the river and they're drowning. Then they discover, actually, I can swim. Many people think they cannot drive until the driver has a heart attack and they have to sit behind the wheel. and they realize that I've been learning to drive subconsciously by watching other people drive. So sometimes the circumstances not met you that demand you to stretch yourself. But the biggest thing is stigma that surrounds leadership. The fear of failure is one thing, but if you fear stigma, what are people around you going to perceive about my choice to volunteer in leadership? What if their confidence is misplaced and I fail? So all this is coming from socialization. Then you have things like curriculum, things that affect people. At one time you just give a leadership role to be the one in front when other kids will follow you. You holding the shirt running, and you fell down, and everybody fell down, and people started mocking you, and you carry that into the future. So there is past little experiences that can also become impeding in you becoming willing to volunteer and say, I'm going to step up. Because you're thinking, I even tried at home to do this. I even tried, my uncle said this about me. Maybe in school I was never a prefect, and now you want me to step up and this will go. So that whole socialization process is also something that we need to begin to fight against. And to say, I need to have people around me that can, decolonize my mind, which has been colonized by failure of the past.
For now, I'm still trying to digest this.
Now let's dive into the youth empowerment side of things. My first question is, when you compare your challenge and the challenge you live in now, do you think it was easier back then, or it's easier now? Right? Back up your answer.
Yeah, we're making a transition from leadership into that. I would say that a leader must be able to focus on the unit more than the whole scale of something. For instance, if a leader is going to look at the building, a leader must be able to look at the bricks and not just enjoy the whole structure completely. You see, because when the leader fails to appreciate the value of the brick, he cannot appreciate the value of the structure. Because when he sees the big structure, he appreciates just how many bricks put in there to become this big building. But if a leader is structure-minded, you see this one when you plaster the walls. You don't see the little bricks, so they don't matter to you. Just see the magnificence of the beauty. You understand? So now, when we come to youth empowerment, the key is to say, let's go and look at the unit, the individual that we are calling youth in general. What are they facing, and what must they possess, and what must they let go of in order for them to be empowered? It cannot be a generalized concept. And you discover now, when we compare these time periods that you are speaking about, whether it is easy or not. I think in both places, in both times, it was neither easy nor difficult, but it was demanding. You understand? It's not easy, it's not difficult, but it's demanding. There has to be a change, because in our time, if you have to be empowered, what did it mean? It means very different. You understand? Because empowerment is not employment. So empowerment is not receiving a salary at the end of the month. You understand? Empowerment goes a little bit beyond just earning a little bit of money to be able to afford another thing. You understand? So we have to define to the unit, what does empowerment mean to you? You find one young man coming from rural areas, for instance, grew up in the ghetto, in the rural area, right down there, no electricity, nothing. For him, empowerment is being given the ability to elevate from that place into a different place, maybe into a city. That's empowerment. And for a guy who is in the city, empowerment might be moving from the city to a different country. So it has to go down to say, let us go and investigate the units where they are, and then we define empowerment according to where they're coming from. And then we properly equip them for that empowerment. Then we correct the idea of empowerment in the unity. So empowerment has got to do with transforming myself. These days we are talking about sustainable development, isn't it? Where we are saying there's development that must happen now, but also allow the people who are going to come after us to still be able to enjoy it, isn't it? So when I'm being empowered, I must have the same mindset. Whatever I must do in empowerment must be generational. It must not be a hassle that enables me to live a good life, but does not perpetuate the people coming after me. So youth have got to be empowered, first of all, in definitions. There is a lot of misdefinition that is out there of what prosperities, what success is. You understand me? If I put on gold chains and I put on a gold tooth and I have the latest phone in my hands, it can be, people feel I'm now empowered to do what? I'm empowered maybe to get better girls, I'm empowered maybe to eat in better restaurants. So we need to correct definitions, because definitions have been messed up because of time, because of circumstances. So the first thing in empowerment, I believe, is definition. What is it? What is wealth? And then you go now to define the purpose of things. What is the purpose of money? What is the purpose of success? What is the purpose of it? Because if you give someone the ability to multiply money without knowing the purpose of money, they are going to create a new purpose for it. And they'll abuse it. They'll abuse others around them because they have it. If I don't have the proper definition of what wealth is, I would want to begin to control people, because I think that everybody with money must be controlling voice. So it becomes dangerous, isn't it? The guy who's coming from the rural areas, when he's able to stay in a house with running water and electricity, he might feel like he's been empowered, but that's not the end of the life. So there has to be a correction of definition and purpose. Then when we correct those, we begin to empower now on the second level, when we are saying we are now giving our ability to produce. Whether it is in education, whether it is in learning skills, whatever it might be now, we are now doing the practical side. So it has to start theoretically, then move into the practical, where obviously maybe we begin to lobby financing from institutions and things like that. But it starts with the mindset, definitions, purpose, then we get into the practical aspect. Because other people might not even feel that they need empowerment. They feel that where they are, they're already empowered because they have a few things that other people don't have. So it's all that is dealt with in definition, in purposes. Then when the definition and purpose are correct, when now the practical side begins to develop and begin to be taught, financing becomes possible, legislature begins to be changed in order to favor them and to create opportunity, and things like that. Now we have an individual who, when they are up there somewhere, they know that my success, my wealth, whatever it is that I've acquired through this empowerment must be perpetual and must also benefit the people around me. Unless that happens, we will never have empowerment.
And we can say, because I also look at myself, you would have a bit of something, but think you are ready for something. But sometimes it's what? Kill them.
Yes.
Okay, checking this, brother.
So there's this thing that came to my mind as we talk. Most times we see organizations, NGOs, they go out there having these empowerment schemes and try to bring up youth in the proper way. But you find out that some of these youth that they talk to, not all of them end up in the positive side of that empowerment skill. Do you think it's a thing of interest? Like they were not willing enough to want to take what the schemes were bringing, or the empowerment scheme failed to reach out to all of them as a whole?
Well, I think it will start with the combination of what I said. Maybe it will start with the non-practical things, whether they form finance and like that. So maybe there was no correction of what was in the mind. And then you also want to understand that what is it that constructs an individual? What is it? What is the substrata of a person? You understand? What makes me choose a particular clothing style? What makes me choose a particular car? These are things that we need to begin to deal with even as we are going into these programs. Because you go to a particular location, you have people that are there, they are watching certain type of movies, they are watching and they listen to certain type of music. All those things are constructed who they are. They're coming from certain type of families. So when we say we're empowering them, what they are hearing in their ears is different. Some people are accepting the program, but in their mind they are saying these people want to use it. So I need to break out before they have a chance to use it. So you are going in genuinely to help them and they are getting ready to rebel. So already there is a mistrust of system, because we go to African communities, they don't trust the system. Now even in North America, they don't trust the system. They feel like somehow it's out to get me. So when you bring the empowerment program, there must be someone, there's a cake somewhere. Before the cake is me, I'm going to run away. You understand? So maybe I've been constructed, what happened in the and so forth. By the time that big time had moved, the black actors realized that they were actually propagated a very different way of moving people up. But unfortunately, it was not only the other race that I thought of us, but even the people from our own race began to think that, oh, so this is how it is to be a bad boy, it became natural to call that. So now you've empowered me, right? You've given me resources. You see now.
Yeah.
So the resources that you've given me have now given me the ability to show what I really believe inside. So you understand that? So you've given me value, but the value that you've given me in financial terms is now showing my values. So you can empower someone with the wrong values, and then, and then you have a big problem. You understand? You see me quiet like this, but maybe I'm just quiet because I'm not getting empowered. Maybe in my head I'm doing the schema. So you give me the resources that I need now. You begin to see what is in my mind. That's why you find that this guy was so quiet now. He's doing parties with 3, 4, 5, 7 women around him. We didn't see it, but it was in his mind. When you began to empower him, you realize what you were doing. You were giving him the ability to exercise his imagination. So he did not first of all begin to try to undo the damage and the thought process that was happening in his head before you put money in his hand.
People that say now money is changing the way you do things, the real.
Yes. Money reveals who you are. It doesn't change. It reveals who you are. That's why you find that a person right now, a person who is broke, already has a type of phone that they want. They already have a type of car that they want. They already have a girl who they want. They have a country that they want. What they are waiting for is the money. So money doesn't change. It reveals what you could not reach for. It gives you, it makes your arm long. Then you're able to do things that are far away. You understand? So before we empower you physically, we must empower you mentally.
What do you think the things affecting this
I think essentially speaking, it's media. Media has created a very big problem for us. Because you see what media does. When I say media across the board, from the movie industries, music, social media, all those things. So what they have done, what those things have done is that they made the reality. We have the secondary reality that we believe is supreme. So because of that, we have become ineffective because we do not have personal vision. We strive to become what we see. We strive to become better than the people who are ahead of us, who are in front of us. I want to be richer than so and so. I want to possess the cash that so and so has. So there's no originality in this vision. So because of that, people are not solving any problems. They are trying to just elevate themselves to be the one on top, to be the topic of discussion. There's no need for the feeling of saying, I want to create something like this. So media, social media in general has made a mess out of the minds. Now you couple this with independence, so much freedom. The laws are changing now. You guys are so connected that it is difficult to isolate you from the things that you are not supposed to see. It's difficult. You want to isolate your child from something, you'll find it in YouTube when you are sleeping. So that independence of the access information has become the biggest challenge that we are facing now. So now, when you have an excess of information and you do not know how to sift that information, everything that is presented becomes the truth. And I want to leave it out. So when we were growing up, we had role models, we had visions that came from our parents. And just a little bit of television that we saw and a little bit of this. But now, the person has got 25,000 realities in mind. So what does that make us ineffective? See that? That's why you find that inventions are becoming less and less. Yet education, information is increasing. You wonder, how? The guys who discovered electricity, who made phones, they had very little at their disposal. You would think that now that we have all of this, I think every day someone is going to be inventing something. But the realities have been shifted. We have a very fake reality put in front of us. So there is this big screen that we are running after, which is in front of us, is ahead of us. And unfortunately, we put that together with very healthy habits. We don't move anymore, so our minds are pretty slow. Simple things like that, they're very different. And then scripture says, "No, men come and so people are in friendships that do not propagate any good behavior in them. So me and my boys, we accept each other's behavior. We say that's how we are. That's our motivation. So we have 10 people who are the sort of thing, and we say that. So I think that's one of the greatest things that is in the present time. So there's no hunger. The hunger of that creates us to become greater. The former. So values are more. That's what I mean.
That's true. I'm also looking at trauma from one an individual's background, and that also affects them being effective, like in terms of maybe you grow up being abused.
Yeah, certainly that will have an effect. But that is not a generational thing, that is an. So you find that, like what I mentioned earlier on, the aspect of socialization. These are things that have happened in your upbringing that can affect you. So you find that abuse is now taking many forms. We now have emotional abuse. We know what is really hitting you and that there is no emotions in the house. So you also become emotionless. Some people have never had their parents say, "I love you," or see the mother and father kissing in the house. So naturally they are becoming ardent as they go. So yes, it does have a very, very strong bearing. And unfortunately now, because we are living in a very tricky time where trust is very rare. So I don't trust you to tell you that this is what I'm going to do, that this was a good in the house. Because maybe you're going to post it. You understand? You think less of me. So because of that, those are the kind of or physical, emotional abuse, whatever abuse it is, etc. People now typically utilize trust. Because everyone is trying to find a juicy thing to post. So if I give you this, maybe it becomes a juicy rumor that you're going to trend that day. So it has a serious impact. Now it also brings into play a shift of parenting that is happening over time. See, parenting has become less and less involved in the children, unfortunately. Children are being given more and more responsibility to raise themselves. You understand? Parents are not raising their children anymore. The school is raising them for them. YouTube is raising them for them. The social influencers are raising them for them. Because now there's a demand on parents to work more than they have before. Things are becoming more expensive. So they have to be worried, they have to do this. But there's no time to raise kids. So because of that now, we don't have a proper input from the parental perspective into the children. So because of that, there's a huge gap. That's why you find that very good parents, but you find the child is on the other side of the spectrum. Where did he get this from? It's not that where did he get this from? It's that he didn't get what was in the parents through proper parenting. There's no active parenting anymore. Kids are in their rooms with their guardians, and the parents are in the other room with their guardians. And they meet at dinner, and some of them don't even meet at dinner. You understand? And when it's holiday, parents are doing their thing, the kids are in the kids' room. It's like that. So there's no way we are saying they are learning, even by watching, because if you look at the majority of people, they grow up in public school. So the time where they should be learning by watching, they are locked up somewhere, they're doing routines. And when they come back from there, they do their routines and they are rewarded for those routines. You know how to wake up, oh, wonderful, you've done good. You know how to wake up, oh, gosh, I don't have time to watch. So you find modern marriages are in trouble because the girls have never seen their mothers be wives. The guys have never seen their fathers be husbands. And now they have to be husbands and wives. So it's a whole, so that whole parenting fuck out now. is also contributing. I think one of the first things that we've done is to create an environment where our kids can tell us. It was a process of time. When they did begin to tell us strange things, we didn't freak out. Yeah, we calm about it, we had a normal conversation about it, so that they did not feel that next time I'm bringing this up, I might be castigated. You know? And we did tell them openly, they can tell us anything. We are family, it's like that. So we are friends with them before we are their parents. So we learn their game, they learn how to play Minecraft, they learn how to do all that stuff, so that I can speak his language and their language. Yes, so even if he makes a mistake, he breaks something, he's not going to hide what he got. He's going to bring it to you because he knows, yes, I might get a spanking, but I will also get a hug. You understand? So because of that now, we relate on that level. And the things that he likes, I don't demonize them. You always tell me, okay, let's see, teach me how to do that, teach me how to play the PlayStation and all that stuff. And then, okay, I will also teach you what is important to me. Teach you books or teach you school. So we do that. So it's a relationship. You see that? And I've made sure that my son always finds me to be a friend. For instance, I'm the one who does my son's lunch box and everything for school. Even if there's a late, she's not going to do it. I go to her and say that. If I see him to school, the last words that he hears when he's going to school are mine. So that way, I'm active in his life. I can put an input without him feeling that I'm done. And say, listen, oh my daughter, please don't do this. And then she won't feel like I'm judging. She will know that I'm contributing. Because what's also important to her, I will also. So it's something that happens in the process of time. And we thank God for the grace of God that has taught us those things. And of course, like I told you, the teaching that we found at the beginning of our morning. I remember that. Another time, my father was this boy, you must be so close to him that when you leave the house, you must try want to cry. That's how close. And when you look at him, you must understand that this look means this. So, now it happens. I sometimes do that. It's happened. So, that's probably what I would say.
And that is, as you're speaking, I'm looking back into my high school, and there is a pattern I can say. Back in some seven, you knew that the people who alcohol, people who are less that and then shift now from one to the other. It doesn't mean they are not shifted to the fact that they are not finding fights. What do you think?
Now, I'm trying to listen to what the degradation of the is bad. There's some legislation. For instance, discipline is in this place. I think now what that is opens the door of addictions. I don't go into it. So you know this is wrong. I'm not supposed to do it. If I do that, I get caught. There's not much that is going to happen to me. You understand? When you go to the basic law, they will tell you that the purpose of the sentence is deterrent. One of the purposes of the sentence is deterrent. Where you were trying to say this action, this sentence must deter others from doing the same thing. So now the question is, what is it that is deterrent? You know that in the life. It's not deterrent. You get a 2 week suspension. When home chilling, you come to the school for 2 weeks, you're chilling, you're going to die. So I think that lack of deterrent behavior or actions in our homes and schools has perpetuated bad behavior and has perpetuated that I can copy my friends because there is no proper sanction that's going to come. There's no proper sanction. So what's my inspiration to change? And remember when we talked about the collapse of the parental unit. So you're going home and the parental unit might not even notice that you're crying. You understand? Because you're like, because of the relationship, you get in the home, hi, mom, hi. Then the mom is only the baby, then they work. And then they come back and say, I'm busy doing my homework, I'll eat supper later on. The time you eat supper, you are smelling the dead, they're dead. So the parental unit, the family unit is there. So that lack of sanction in the legislation that is being introduced in the name of human rights has really played a major part in that perpetuation of that behavior inheritance. And we now we have people in the United States standard, lower grades doing all that. Really stories like 8-year-old in pregnancy is one. What? Yeah. So I think that whole thing contributes to the decadence of the legislation. You take them to the school counselor, it's not a mental health problem, it's not right. Yeah, instead of saying to them, that's bad, they're saying, what's causing it? It's just experimental, it's an age of experiment. So we're dealing with something with the wrong thing. So it's continuous. You see something about it. There's nothing saying to do.
I wanted to go back to what we were talking about. How you live your life now with a certain way it can tell you anything. If that was the case back then, like in the early 19th, you know how if whatever the father says, that's it. But at the same time, we still see the children being protected. If back then there was this room of the children saying their own point of view, do you think that would have still made them to be more protected or would cut short? Because now we are trying to change from the 19th into now, and we see that give your children more space for them to talk to you, of which that wasn't there, but we see those people being successful. And now, you understand?
I'm not because they became successful. Because what they learned is that they learned authoritism, and they learned to live by authority. So you put them in a position of leadership. So they did work hard because they were sanctioned to do so. And there was punitive retribution that followed. So the father said, you are going to be a doctor. Okay? That's it. You have no pressure. Not cost. No. I already found the place for you. That's it. You are in medical school. So you go there. Don't waste my money. I'm paying them the money for you to go to school. So you pass it. What do you become? You become a good doctor, okay? A good one, isn't it? Because that's what you're going to do. But let's go now. Let's follow you when you are now. Let's follow you now when you are now a leader in that hospital. What are you used to? I'm the chief surgeon here. Do not do this. But say I thought, shut your mouth, do not do it. So are you success? Yes, there's nothing. So you find that you follow those people, most of them, they are like that to their children. They try to do it. They have this iron fist. So yeah, they become successful. They can do it. But as human beings, you find you grow up and there is a wife. Your first step to your wife is your mind is really living in heaven. So she's an inspiration. You understand? So if my dad told me what to do, didn't want me to back me, I do with some pressure. But the fact of the matter is what you are creating. Yes, it's a successful person in terms of what they are going to achieve. But as a person, you have made this child or this person into a drill commander. Everywhere that they go in life, they're going to believe that no one must challenge my way. You know, and then, God forbid, the person coming from that family is a man, and the man is the person coming from another family is a woman. But in that family, the woman allowed them to talk. Then the father says, "We are buying a house in this location." The wife is about to say, "I thought this," before she finishes the sentence. You don't answer back to me. Or it's just the wife, the husband comes back home and says, "We bought a car." It's outside. You know, or the wife, maybe the wife is like, come and say, "Oh, we bought a house." And where is this coming from? From those people that will say success. So success has got to be defined. So now our parenting enables the success. It also enables that whoever he or she is, he knows that people's opinions matter. He knows how to then stand for his own opinion without making other people's opinions seem like them. He knows how to live because he can relate. He knows how to be a friend. He knows how to be a people. Because he is seen as relating. He's seen as, okay, you want to do this, all right. Listen, why don't you do this first? Then after 20 minutes, then do that, and then I'll give you 40 minutes to do this. Then we'll finish that. So what he's going to do with it is he's going to do this for you. He's going to use exactly the same principles. And everyone will want to believe that.
Like I say,
yes. So if he calls me and says, "Then can you open my phone?" I say, "It's past bedtime. I'm going to give you 10 extra minutes." That 10 extra minutes constructs something. But he becomes a leader with fun as well. So when you're doing what he's done something. But at the same time, I've given him time to do what he does. So success is that. I come from that life. Really, I want lifetime. So I know guys. And they're the guys who are saying we want to show our parents that now we can do good for us. So it's not like they have an appetite for evil or for bad. But the bad is a sign, is a proof that I don't have this. So they're just doing it to spite. Used to say, "I never was 18." And before they get real, by the time they realize it's bad for them, they have to started off as a way of spite the parents. So then celebrating your food.
How did you do it?
It's simple, you know. When it comes to Christian leadership, it's very different. Christian leadership is easy that there is what we call the language of the Spirit. The reason why the gospel can be preached in Somalia and in America is to ordinary, is because it's spiritual. So what you want to do is to be able to speak to the spiritual man and not the physical. Because you speak to the physical man, you need extreme caution every time, because people are different in their understanding of their character. And if you are able through prayer and you are able to speak to the spirit, he will respond the same everywhere. That's why anybody who hears the gospel anywhere, whether they're from China or Japan or America or Zimbabwe or whatever it is, they will respond the same. They will give the life of Christ because it's one language. So when you have a spiritual vision, you have a vision that you have this form of faith, this vision that came from God. Listen, if I want to pass it on to the next person, I don't have to appeal to their senses up there. What I need to do is to package it in such a way that their spirit understands and grasps it, and then it overturns whatever is in the mind. I have had people who have said, "Oh, this is a bad place, this is a bad church." But when I show it to them in a spiritual place, not argue with them, no, it's good. No. So it's about learning to speak spiritual language that expresses the vision. And that spiritual language now, of course, is uttered forth by the mouth. And you understand that the words are spirit. You know, guys, the word is what? Spirit. So I think it's an understanding how to talk the language of the spirit. You understand? Because you could have a good product, but if you don't know how to present the product, you could mess things up. You understand? I'm not going to mention the brand here because you're on air, but let's say you have this, what do you call it, the soda. It's a good brand, everybody likes it, isn't it? It's a drink, people drink it all the time. And then when you drink it, it's nice, everybody knows it. But if you give the wrong salesman, and then they say to people, "This is a nice soda, open your mouth right now, open your mouth," and then they pour it down their throat. And then the person starts choking and they will say, "This is a bad thing," but not because the product is good, but because the way that was presented. So the secret is in presenting. How do you present it? You must learn spiritual language. You must learn to compel, to persuade. You understand? When you learn to persuade, you don't think just because I have a superior product, everybody must listen to me. The vision is from God. So yeah, everybody, no? You must persuade. You must be able to speak spiritual language. And most importantly, you must be able to demonstrate what you are saying. If you fail to demonstrate what you are saying as a leader, then you cannot be a leader. No one's going to listen to you. No one's going to buy your vision. No one is going to move you. No one is going to follow you. But if you can demonstrate what you are selling, what you are saying, "This is what I have, this is who I am." If it is in terms of Christ, if you go around selling Christ, and then people say, "Yeah, okay, we read you, but we can't see the what you were saying from you," you are in trouble, isn't it? Yeah, that's why this other religion in the world says, "You guys are saying this, but we don't see it in you." You understand? So if I'm going to begin to say forward with faith, and say, "Oh, it's a vision of love and where there's the kingdom of God," and then I do something that is totally different, I'm like, okay, it's revelation. So be able to demonstrate what you are saying. When people finish hearing you, they can look at you and see what you're saying.
As we get to the end of our episode, I'd like to ask, unless you have a question.
Yeah. I actually just wrote one down. There's this thing of, isn't it? They say be an example as a leader, right? But there's this thing of a leader doing things out of they don't want to do it, so I'm going to do it. Do you think that's bad leadership? Like, for instance, maybe he's supposed to do a certain thing. No, I'm the leader. Okay, for instance, I'm supposed to do something, but I don't do it. And let's say he's my leader, and he's like, "Since you don't want to do it, I will do it." And every time a scenario like that comes up and he keeps doing that, does that make him a good leader or
It's as a leader, it's the Christ. So someone from the person that come with it.
What I was saying is that attitude is important. There's nothing wrong with him saying that I will do it because you don't do it. What's the attitude? They're giving up on you, and saying that there's a or they say that you cannot rebuke until you understand. Because you can't rebuke before you teach. If you rebuke before you teach, you're not listening to them. If you do something and they're not trained, you do it. I have no right to say to you before because I haven't trained. I haven't invested enough in you to be able to see why it should be done. So if I have trained you and I have invested in you and then you refuse to do it, then I have the right to correct you and say, "What is that for?" But in the instant that you spoke about, it was the attitude that's key. With what attitude am I doing? Am I doing it because I'm saying you don't matter? That is wrong. But I don't care, we can move without you, that is wrong. But if I'm doing it because there is a gap now, it needs to be covered. Because the leadership, for example. Never assign anyone to do what you do that cannot do it. I don't do it. I cannot tell you to go and clean the clothes. I myself can do it. cannot tell you to go to war. I myself cannot tell you to go to the battle. That's why you look at the kings of old, right there, right in the middle of the battle. And that's why they got respect from the people that they were leading. There's nothing wrong with that, as long as their attitude is not dismissive. And believe the person that you are saying, really, because you follow one of them. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, it's probably part of the cost as long as the attitude is correct and you have managed to recruit. You see, a leader must become increasingly unnecessary. A true leader must become increasingly what? Unnecessary. Because you have trained people, so they must now be able to move even in your absence. Also, is what your obedience much more in my absence. So if people can now run, that's why I said leadership is not person, it must be a system. So if you manage to put a system that people can do and you are not there, you now put them to a good level of food. Yeah.
So let's say something like if you do the business for 3 months, will it still be done? Nothing else you can to do the creation for 3 months.
Yes. So you see evidence. So if you are able to help people who are like you, create, multiply yourself, then identify people who are much better than you, give them the permission to multiply themselves with the revelation, then that's leadership. If you just remain you, then there's a big problem. Okay? And you much more than as a leader, and you don't produce what you say, you produce what you are. You might say something on your mouth, but you have something else inside because you produce exactly what you are.
So as a bit that I love to know what's one principle you look for?
One.
Or could you give one or two? I have a table for you. Principle code.
I don't want to say principle because if you say principle, it becomes principle. Always remember who placed you where you are. Who gave you what you are. If you remember that, I think, number one, my personal is most of it. You can't stop me. I remember who put me in this trajectory where I am. Whatever I'm pursuing business, whatever I'm pursuing ministry, I also put you in the name. I want to put you in the physical place. So nothing physical will come and stop me. And I won't feel anything that's not put me where I am. And if I remember who puts me where I am, no matter I raise people from the dead by sneezing, I will never be feel that I'm about you or I'm better than you, because whatever I have was given to me. If I remember that who puts me where I am, I will never come to a place of resting until he, the one who put me there, tells me that I've reached the maximum. So I keep pushing for something better, for something ahead of me. I forget the people that are behind. So as long as I remember who put me in this trajectory, I'll remain humble, I'll remain loyal to God, I'll remain simple with the people around me, and I'll remain with the desire to become better.
Let me see one.
Well, obviously, it has to do with my faith. My faith is principle. I believe that it's anything that done by faith is sin. So I don't believe in faith is sin. And other ones are too radical. It's a principle that I live by. No fear. Speak more slowly. Instead of using WhatsApp, it is no change. I don't feel fear stops action. And I also live by the fact that man is a redeemer for future. So we never look down on anybody. I believe that first time I really it was never going to come up. At least, and men is redeemer. So never look down on anybody because of where you are. Never take for granted once you have just because of the talent you have as a blessing. Somebody put a step ahead of you for you to rise up. So I think that you're better than you. Just remain humble, become the best. I don't like being the best. Not so that I can lose it off at any point, but so that I can live my good potential. But the rest of them, I can see.
I hope this message will reach making an impact for the inspiring leader and the generation. This youth. I'm very
Well, what maybe I would say in conclusion is that everybody who is a leader must deal with foundations. Make sure your foundations are strong. Your genesis is strong. If your genesis is strong, you can build anything. The foundation, your faith system, you must have a very solid faith foundation. Make sure that you have dealt with things that hindered you in the past. Don't allow anything in the past to become the decision maker for you in the future. You pass it to follow counsel. Don't go back there. And make sure that you have the right leadership in the personal life. I thank God for my father, Apostle Hillary has provided that. If you don't have that, find somebody who becomes an anchor, solid somebody who you understand, who you follow, and believe in. That will become not a limiting thing, the inspiration.
Okay, do your thing, the like, subscribe, share.
Yo guys, thank you for watching. You know what to do. Subscribe, like, comment, share, spread the word out there. We're trying to impact the world. We're trying to do some great stuff. So you guys, lock in on us, man. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode.
Thank you guys for tuning in to the Heart to Heart podcast. My name is also Yusuf Abel, KJK. Sejula. Thank you.
The place where it's supposed to be a home, I don't feel at home, not because there isn't a building or there isn't a family, but when there's no emotional support, no amount of money can measure it.